Welcome to Civ 6 Stories, where we explore alternatives to history through the lens of the world's most addictive video game. Games are played on Deity, no challenges. Generally, I don't use mods or game modes except for Sukotak's Oceans. A great game is epic and tells a story. It has a history, all condensed down into 20 minutes. Along the way, you can learn tips and tricks on how to be a better Civ player, as well as strategies on how to play specific civilizations. Today we're looking at the game I played as Kublai Khan of Mongolia. Civilization began for the Mongols along the river at the foot of a short mountain range to the east. We moved from a hill to a grassland tile and founded our stately pleasure dome, Xanadu. We were the first civilization to meet Wolin, just north of our city. Across the mountain range to the east, we discovered the sacred wonder, Pamukkale. Through a narrow corridor of the western mountains, we met Catherine Medici of the French. Continuing our western exploration through French lands, we met Qin Shi Huang of China. In 3000 BC, we met a scout sent from the lands of the Mapuche. In 2840 BC, Mongols founded their second city, Karabagh Hassun, across the mountain range from the French capital city of Paris. We were bold in asserting our position within this cradle of land surrounded by mountains, but Karabagh Hassun was founded closer to the French capital than the Mongol capital and suffered early loyalty pressures. With many pastures nearby and our inherent devotion to horses, we chose God of the Open Sky as our pantheon. At the dawn of the classical era, all of our neighbors entered golden ages. We chose the free inquiry dedication as we usually do. In order to make headway in this game, we would need to be bold during this era. Barbarians in the east near Pamukkale were relentless, and we were forced to pull back from the area. In 1880 BC, Mongolia founded its third city, Karakorum, hoping it would unite the clans from Xanadu to Karabagh Hassun. The opportunity to recruit a second governor allowed us to plug Victor into Karabagh Hassun and bring order to the city. Barbarians from the east slipped through our patrols and attacked our capital at the same time that we became suzerain of Wolin. In 1680 BC, Mongols were the first to develop horsemen. They took care of the little barbarian problem we had near our capital. We noticed a meteor shower that struck the earth in the northwest near the city-state of Fez and seized on the opportunity to acquire a new weapon, a chariot unit. We were friendly with the Chinese, and, as we had horses to spare, we traded some to our neighbors in exchange for gold. With an eye set to levying the city-state troops of Wolin, we also traded diplomatic favor to Catherine in exchange for gold. We had just enough money. Time to get this party started. In 1200 BC, we unlocked political philosophy and chose oligarchy as our Tier 1 government. With our forces chomping at the bit around Fez, in 1040 BC, we declared war on the city-state. With the help of troops from Wolin, as well as our battering ram, we quickly beat down the city walls. In 950 BC, we took the city. There was iron just outside its borders that we would be able to control. We'd be fine. Taking Fez really pissed off both Swifthawk and Catherine. Our troops were thirsty for more. Catherine saw them approaching her territory. Though they were there to clear out barbarians, she looked concerned, and we decided that we would give her something to really be concerned about. We were essentially just joining a war that our friends from China had started. The French would be no match for our combined forces. As we so rarely do, we went to the trouble to assuage China's fears of our advancing army. For now, we were only concerned with annihilating the French. In 725 BC, Xanadu built what would become a world-renowned campus district in a stunning location by the foot of the mountain. Doing so spared the Mongols descending into a dark age. Moments later, our horseman unit poached a French settler. In 700 BC, the combined forces of the Mongols and Chinese routed the French as Mongol troops invaded the city. And boy, oh boy, did we get a lot of science and civic boots in doing so. Qin Shi Huang approached us about continuing the war effort against the Mapuche. For now, we were satisfied with the gains we had made against Fez and the French. That was about as good of a classical era as we could have hoped for. We took a city-state, a rival capital, and poached a settler that would help us procure iron. We didn't enter a golden age, but everyone around us descended into dark ages. We chose free inquiry as our dedication, once again. As promised, in 600 BC, our French slaves founded the Mongol city of Korla. They would work the iron mines there that would outfit our troops for battle. By turn 92, we had 6 cities, 1 original capital and 1 seized capital. We were humming. China was also proving to be a fair and consistent trading partner. In 550 BC, the Mapuche and French joined forces against the Mongols to liberate the cities of Fez and Paris. Hoping to upgrade our melee units into stronger troops, we brokered a deal with the Chinese for a bit of iron to help us on our way. The Mapuche came at us looking to strike through Paris. It forced us to divert our troops away from advancing on the French. But with Wolin under our sway, meeting enemies in the field was a benefit to us, so we invited the Mapuche to come at us. We still had pesky barbarians sneaking around the mountains east of our capital. Our forces from Wolin fulfilled their duty, but their retirement from the front forced our main troops to fall back to the safety of Paris. Once we discovered apprenticeship, we updated our melee units to men-at-arms. A sizable Mapuche force was advancing toward Paris. We built walls in the city. With Victor exerting his military influence over the city as well, we felt secure that it would not be taken. Chinese forces took the city-state of Samarkand. After so many victories in the field and bonus points from Wolin, we recruited our first great general, Ethelfled. We sent him to the front line right away. We had successfully defended Paris. With our newly modernized army, it was now time to advance on Rouen. Those pesky barbarians in the east were still at it. We would need to fend them off with reserves as our main army was too busy invading the French. In 25 AD, Mongol troops took the city of Rouen. Although Toulouse built city walls, they were no match for our crossbowmen and our men-at-arms supported by a battering ram. In 175 AD, we surrounded the city, walked in, and eliminated Catherine from the game. Between vanquishing the French and successfully defending Paris and Fez, we earned a staggering 13 era score, positioning us from the brink of a dark age to in line to experience a golden age. In 250 AD, we made peace with Mapuche. It was time to consolidate our victories and bring order to our lands. There was only a narrow road through the mountains leading to Brussels. What lay beyond it? The only way to know was to declare war on the city-state and try to force our way through, but it would not be easy. We caught their siegecraft in the field. With the Wolin bonus, these were easy great general points. In 325 AD, we introduced the world to our Keshig warriors, ensuring our Renaissance golden age. In 375 AD, we discovered divine right and chose monarchy as our tier 2 government. Now that we had our Keshigs, we decided to focus our efforts on building our cavalry. We entered the Renaissance with a golden age and chose the monumentality dedication. After centuries of friendship, the Chinese and Mongols formed an economic alliance. In 720 AD, we showed off our Urdu to the world. I hope I pronounced that correctly. That same turn, after 400 years of siege, we finally took Brussels. We were curious to know what lay beyond, and, right away, we discovered what that was. It was Dido, and the land of the Phoenicians. Dido wasn't thrilled about my capture of Brussels, that they unilaterally declared a military emergency against me. That's okay, we were cool with it. After all, we had Keshigs. At war again, it was important to maintain suzerainty over Wolin. Oh, foolish musketman. Height of military might, chasing after my great general and getting stuck in the bog. Idiot. We discovered a second meteorite, and this time it unearthed a knight. We were unnerved by persistent barbarians in the northeast and could not commit our full arsenal against the Phoenicians. They had erected city walls and brought a corps of knights toward us. This was meant to be a time of peace and settling new lands, so we pivoted our strategy and backed up our troops toward Brussels to maintain its defense. Hopefully, we would patron a great general along the way. Because of our war against the French, we had little time to expand our empire to the east. Now with the French defeated, we finally took the opportunity to settle near Pamukkale. Who says the AI doesn't know what they're doing? That there is the best unit to counter my Keshigs. The path to the barbarian encampment was narrow and their troops were in force. I was unsure if we could break through. In 1040 AD, we changed our government to a merchant republic. For our government plaza buildings, we focused on our military by choosing the warlord's throne and then swinging into the Grand Master's chapel. Dido was now coming after us with line infantry, which seemed pretty advanced, especially since our melee units were simple men-at-arms. Phoenicia was going to be a tough nut. In 1060 AD, we met Harald Sigurdsson of Norway. It takes 5 Keshigs to take down a line infantry. With those kind of forces coming at me, the end of our golden age nearing, again we pivoted, looking to move on the Mapuche, but it would mean setting up defensive structures around Brussels. But the Mapuche have cavalry. We brokered a nice deal with Norway, sending some of our excess amenities for gold, as well as a few amenities back our way. That Renaissance golden age was rough, and it led to an industrial era dark age. Bless God, our nearest neighbours, China, were also now mired in a dark age. Expecting to explore distant continents during this era, we chose the Hic Sunt Dracones dedication. After centuries of cooperation and prosperity, we renewed our alliance with the Chinese. In 1170 AD, we met Tomyris of Scythia. We were successful in our defense of Brussels against Phoenicia. In fact, it was now us taking the fight to them as we began to make progress beating down the walls of Ziz. The young city of Guangzhou was teetering near our border. Our city of Brussels was also losing loyalty. In 1190, after 400 years of warfare waged between the cities of Brussels and Ziz, Mongol warriors took the Phoenician city, upsetting the balance of power in the south. The Mongols, in the midst of their darkest age, razed the city to the ground. Anticipating loyalty issues in our French province, it would be imperative to take the fight to the Mapuche. We were expecting Guangzhou to flip loyalty, so we would need troops, even reserves, just to take it. Our war against the Phoenicians had been moderately successful. Now, with other more pressing priorities, we made peace with Dido. After a brief period of light modernization of our military, in 1230 AD we declared war on Swift-Hawk and his Mapuche. In 1240, Guangzhou flipped loyalty to free cities, with the Mapuche, the culturally dominant civilization in the area, looking to seize control. We threw everything we had at Puel-Wuli-Mapu and took the city in 1270 and then razed it to the ground. Although we could not keep the city for ourselves, razing Puel-Wuli-Mapu ensured that Brussels would not flip loyalty and would remain part of Mongolia. Guangzhou flipped to the Mapuche, but we were already at the doorstep and already at war, so no big change. Hoping to pillage foreign lands and overseas trade routes, we purchased a privateer. It was 1330 AD and was our first naval unit of the game. The Mapuche were doing everything they could to hold on to Guangzhou. The Mapuche were starting to make mincemeat of my siege weapons. The Phoenicians were also showing simple prime targets off the eastern coast of our empire, but we had no ambition of fighting both nations at the same time. We had done our damage to the Mapuche, and we brokered a very profitable peace settlement. At the next opportunity, we declared war again on Dido. In 1370, we met Alexander of Macedon. We poached a settler from Dido. The Phoenicians had unprotected embarked troops just hanging out in the Gulf of Hammamet that were easy pickings for my privateers. I need to be more careful with those privateers. Hawk Tuah one-shotted one of them out of existence. Tuah. Who knows how to pronounce that? In 1440 AD, we renewed our alliance with the Chinese for a third time. Also for a third time, we picked up the spoils from a meteorite that crash-landed to the Earth near our lands. In 1490, we circumnavigated the globe, though we were not the first to do so. When our cannon destroyed a Phoenician cuirassier, it guaranteed us a golden age. We struggled through the industrial era, but did enough to flip into a heroic age. The Phoenicians, whom we were at war with, entered a dark age. We chose Reform the Coinage, Heartbeat of Steam, and To Arms as our heroic age dedications. In an effort to gain some extra science and gold through pillaging, and to get the nationalism inspiration, in 1525 AD, we decided to declare war on Norway. That same year, one of our brave Keshiks entered the Bermuda Triangle, venturing where few have gone before. Traveling through this strange portal, dropped our mounted archers in the middle of the Rheic Ocean on the southeastern shore of the Phoenician Empire. As we continued our assault on the Phoenicians, we bided our time on their border until we could upgrade our troops into corps. Carthage looked impossible to take without artillery or air support for our siege weapons to launch an assault from a safe range. It was clear that progress for the Mongols was going to be a slog. We needed to pull back our troops while our generals did reconnaissance on their territory. In 1575 AD, we boldly founded Urumqi near the silver mines and ruins of Puel-Wuli-Mapu. We were in the middle of a heroic age, and this new city was founded by pure Mongols. We felt certain we could keep it. Guangzhou flipped again to free cities. Carthage was becoming even more well-defended as they had now placed a machine gun inside the city. When I declared war on Norway, they weren't supposed to fight back, but there they were with their boats approaching Fez. The Chinese took Guangzhou back from under our noses, but they would also have trouble holding it. We were losing a lot of money, so we reached out to China and Macedon and brokered a few deals exchanging amenities and gold. Discovering mobilization and plugging in the levée en masse policy card would help to ease our little financial crisis. The way this game was going, a domination victory was going to take forever. Thankfully, we were able to recruit Robert Goddard, who would aid our most likely path to victory through space. Though it cost a pretty penny, we decided to ally with China for a fourth time, this time focused on a military partnership. In 1655, we won the World's Fair, earning gold tier rewards. We now had 4 bombards parked outside of Carthage, whose city walls were incredibly difficult to break down. Every machine gun is a threat to our military progress and needed to be eliminated, even if it meant sacrificing a cavalry. After centuries of hostility with Phoenicia in 1675 AD, we finally broke through and took Carthage. For our Atomic Era dedication, we chose To Arms, with the objective of conquering Phoenicia once and for all. No longer in a golden age, it might well be worth going to war with Mapuche again to see what lands we could take. Our siegecraft, fighting in Phoenicia, were slowly but steadily modernizing and becoming more powerful. They blew through Byblos' city walls and we took the city. We used some of our saved envoys and became suzerain of Nan Madol. This added a significant boost to our culture, which had been lagging behind. In desperate need of extra income, we went once again to our buddies, the Chinese, and sold some of our strategic resources for a healthy sum to bring down the deficit. Our armies began making meaningful progress in Phoenicia and took Biruta in 1735. Despite all the war, Mongols proved to the world that they still cared about beauty. We were the first to build a national park. Scythia was becoming bold, founding the city of Arslan on land that was clearly earmarked as Mongolian. Our troops tore through Hawk Tuah. I mean, who can pronounce that? Anyway, we took the city in 1750 AD. In 1775, we conquered Zanzibar. In 1780, we took Sidon. In 1785, Mongols built the Taj Mahal. They were also targeted in a military emergency after taking the city-state of Zanzibar. The coalition against the Mongols was formed between Phoenicia, Macedon, and Norway. In 1790, we chose our Tier 3 government and became communists, focusing our policies on continuing our war effort and maximizing internal trade and production. The race for two of the most important space race great people, Sergei Korolev and Carl Sagan, was on. Whoever could patron them could win the game because domination was looking like a long shot at this stage. In 1800 AD, Mongolian troops seized the Phoenician capital city of Tyre. Our pursuit of great people to support our space race agenda was proceeding nicely. After a meeting of the World Congress, we learned that our buddies, the Chinese, were leading the pack en route to a diplomatic victory. We would have to play this situation just right. Norwegian troops made landfall onto our continent, arriving to the aid of the desperate Phoenicians, but they would need more troops than that. Our war with the Phoenicians pushed our dedication bonus along, and when we destroyed another machine gun from the air, we were assured of an information era golden age. Another look at our space race great people progress, and we were feeling good. There's Sergei Korolev, but oh my, we missed out on Carl Sagan. No matter, Korolev, in combination with the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, is the more important of the two. Besides, we're Mongolia. Domination is our primary objective. In 1814, we took Kublai.
Hawk Tuah.
Again, unpronounceable. Those barbs have lived happily on that part of the map longer than some of the major civilizations in this game. After missing out on Carl Sagan, we would need to concentrate our efforts on recruiting Stephanie Kwolek, but it would not be easy. Because of persistent loyalty issues in our cities of the southwest, we declared a war of territorial expansion on the Mapuche in 1816. In 1818, we completed the mausoleum of Halicarnassus. It would help us in our pursuit of a space race victory. Mongolian artillery made short work of Pehwin Mapu's walls as we took the city in 1822. We would need to do hefty damage because, in 10 turns, the Mapuche would get a combat bonus against us when we earned our golden age. In 1824, Mongolian forces captured Ugarit. In 1828, Mongols built the Bolshoi Theater. That same year, we took the city of Chadimapu. In 1834, Alexander of Macedon made landfall on our shores, looking to free the cities of Phoenicia. Like the Norwegians before them, they'd have to bring more troops than that. In 1838, Mongol forces stormed one of the Mapuche's major urban centers and took the city of Wulimapu. We were unable to hold Pehwin Mapu, and it flipped to free cities. We entered the information era with a golden age and were the only ones to do so. So, hoping to expand our territory, we chose the automaton warfare dedication. Sadly, we missed out on recruiting Stephanie Kwolek. Really dropped the ball there. Guangzhou also flipped again to free cities. With so much war, we were hemorrhaging money, but going into this era, we were still friendly with China and set up another favorable trade deal offering excess amenities for gold. In 1844, Mongolian troops marched on the Mapuche capital of Ngulu Mapu. It was a devastating blow for the Mapuche that would eliminate their influence in the area. Despite war being our primary focus, we chose Royal Society as our Tier 3 government building, knowing that the most likely route to victory would be through space. In spite of our deficit, we invested what little gold we had into upgrading our artillery to rocket artillery. I'm a big fan of rocket artillery, especially our veteran units. A couple of those and our GDR, and that should be enough. One shot from their fighter jet took out my death robot, so I guess that would not be enough. Man, that did not last long. But upgrading those rocket artillery, worth every penny. Thanks to them, I was able to walk into Pehwin Mapu with little resistance. We were successful in fending off the enemy as they hoped to free Zanzibar. Still, no one was interested in signing a peace deal. In 1858, we took Wente Mapu. Although we remained communists, we then underwent a massive restructuring of our government focused largely on economic growth and international espionage. In 1860, Guangzhou became Chinese again. But the old Mapuche city of Pehwin Mapu decided to be Mongolian once and for all. In 1862, we won the World Games competition. At the same time, a military emergency was declared against us because we took the Mapuche city of Chadimapu. It was organized by civilizations we were already at war with, so steady as she goes. After a meeting of the World Congress in 1864, we put a dent in China's diplomatic victory plans, giving us confidence that they would not sneak a victory away from us. That same turn, we took Puel Mapu. By 1868, our friendship with the Chinese had lapsed, and Qin Shi Huang announced his displeasure at the progress our Mongolian armies were making tearing through the lands of the Mapuche. In 1870, we took Nag Mapu. The Scythian outpost of Arshan also flipped to free cities. The next turn, we took Rangkul Mapu. When Lafken Mapu fell in 1876, the Mapuche were no more, their culture now preserved in a province of the Mongol Empire. The history of Mongolia will forever be characterized by their profiting from elements from space crashing to Earth as, for the fourth time, we discovered new weapons from a meteorite. New weapons means new military objectives. In 1878, after wiping the Mapuche from history, we explained to China that they were supposed to continue liking us no matter what we did by declaring an ideological war against them. Our first target was liberating the former city-state of Bandar Brunei. Our group of veteran siege units were now the most powerful force on the planet and quickly tore through the city walls. We took Bandar Brunei the next turn. In 1882, with a little help from our Royal Society, the former Mapuche city of Wulimapu launched a Mongolian Earth satellite, giving the Mongols a new perspective of the world. It was now time to begin our assault on the core of the Chinese Empire as we began our siege of Chengdu. In 1884, we took the city. In 1886, we discovered venture politics and chose corporate libertarianism as our Tier 4 government. We went for a balanced approach to our economy. Jumping into this new government guaranteed a golden age going into the future era, should the game last that long. We had excess envoys to use and spent a bunch to become suzerain of both Ayutthaya and Bologna. In 1888, we took Handan. The Scythian outpost of Arshan, after a period of rebellion, held a referendum and decided to join Mongolia. That same year, Mongolian troops brought the ever-disputed Chinese Mapuche Chinese city of Guangzhou into the empire. After 6 millennia of tumultuous existence creeping around the eastern fringe of my empire, my archaeologists decided that they'd had enough of these pesky barbarians and raided their camp, putting an end to the central hub of their operations and dispersing them once and for all. By now, our military was humming along, tearing through Chinese defenses. We walked into Changsha with little resistance. The world would never forgive us for betraying the Chinese. In 1896, all the world's armies, except for Alexander, who we were already at war with anyway, united against us with the aim of capturing Xanadu, our capital. Their united armies would have even more work ahead of them because that year we also took Shanghai. A fifth meteor shower hit the Earth at the western end of the Mapuche province. In 1898, Mongol forces took the Chinese capital of Xi'an. By the turn of the 20th century, we were third from bottom in the space race, and not likely to conquer the world before Harold, Tamires, or Alexander sent out their exoplanet expedition. We sent out our moon landing. We were behind, but we were not defeated. We used the first of Sergei Korolev's charges to send out our Mars colony. We had researched advanced power cells and had enough money in our coffers to purchase a giant death robot. We purchased our GDR in the city of Aksu, planning to send it toward the Scythian mainland to disrupt the region. Amazingly, this time I was unable to profit from the meteorite as a Norwegian supply convoy snuck onto the peninsula and grabbed the unit from under me. Using the second of Sergei Korolev's charges, in 1903 we sent out our exoplanet expedition, leapfrogging into the space race lead and setting the timer at 50 turns. From here, all there was left to do was expand and take as much territory before the end of the game as we could. Norway had been playing a decent culture game, but we felt confident that by 1904 our science game and our domination game were both on a decent path toward victory. The two great continents were close enough that we could launch airstrikes on the Scythian cities of the west, and so our troops were able to march into Olba, which we summarily razed to the ground. In 1906 we took the Scythian city of Ishik. The same year we razed the island city of Jingzhou. We had established a beachhead on the Scytho-Macedonian Norwegian continent, and poor Mogadishu was in the way, so we declared war. By 1907, the northern Chinese cities of Chen, Samarkand, and Longxi all fell to the Mongols, leaving us in control of our continent, but for a few Phoenician satellite cities in the south. The Chinese were now relegated to a small island across the Antarctic Ocean that they shared with Norway and the city-state of Bologna. That year, we took Mogadishu. Norway brought a decent force to defend the former city-state, but it wouldn't matter. We had the resources to keep her. In 1908, we razed the Chinese city of Taiyuan. Who says the AI is useless in the field? There they go, targeting my carrier. Excellent job, Scythia. That hurt. Heading into the future era, and our spacecraft was 8 light years ahead of everyone else, but we had yet to complete a single laser station. We also successfully defended Chadimapu, winning one of the many military emergencies against us. Golden, normal, and dark ages don't really matter at this point, as the game is winding down, except for the fact that it's never going to change. Good thing we were having our own golden age, but so was Scythia, our current most hostile neighbor. Again, we chose the automaton warfare dedication. Our only objective now was to speed our exoplanet expedition on its way and take as many enemy cities as we could. We kicked off our military exploits of the era by taking Kalermis. At the end of 1911, Dido came to me proposing to end the war. I was way more concerned with taking out the major powers of Scythia and Norway that when she offered a nice package that included a lot of gold per turn, I accepted it. Dido took 2 diplomatic victory points at the World Congress that year, but the leaderboard showed that she wasn't a threat to sneak away with a diplomatic victory. In 1912, we took our first Norwegian city, Stavanger. The next year, we took Jiaodong, ending the game for the Chinese. Mongolia will never forget the part that they played in hoisting up our economy during difficult times. They were our brothers in arms in ancient times against the French, and a major force behind our push toward victory. They were good friends for many centuries. We were unable to hold Kalermis and have flipped to free cities. But seconds later, we took the most populous city in the region, Mariv. This is where the AI fails mightily at deploying its military. Here are as many as 3 giant death robots, and they can't think of anything better to do than run squarely at a fully fortified encampment district. For shame.
Idiot.
It's those kind of mistakes that allowed us to walk into Kristiansand like we owned the place. And well, now we did own the place. In 1916, we took Saloka. In 1917, we recaptured Kalermis. In 1918, we seized Maikop. The same year, we took control of Namsos, giving us sole control of the Isle of Bologna. Moments later, Mongol forces seized control of the Scythian capital city of Pokrovka. In 1919, we took Chertomlik. The same year, we liberated the former city-state of Nan Madol and integrated it into the Mongol Empire. In 1920, we took Galonis. Although we were suzerain of Bologna and controlled the whole of their island, we wanted all of it for ourselves, and that included the city itself. So we declared war. In 1921, we took the Scythian city of Kul Oba. Bologna mounted a feeble resistance, and by 1922, she was part of Mongolia. The same turn, we took the Scythian city of 7 Brothers. Moments later, we took our first Macedonian city by seizing control of the port city of Alexandria by the Latmus. In 1923, we completed our first laser station, finally, accelerating our path toward victory. It had been a long and difficult campaign. This would help. At this point, we were cruising. The easy thing to do would be to make peace, build a few more laser stations, and just keep pressing enter. But we have an empire to grow, and a score to think about. First step was to take Alexandria Troas. Phoenicia still had some towns. Taking those should be easy, and will add a little to our final score. In 1924, we declared a war of territorial expansion. By 1925, our spacecraft was traveling at 4 light years per turn. That turn, we seized the Macedonian capital city of Pella. Soon after, we took the Scythian city of Neapolis, followed by the city of Kostromskaya. By 1926, our spacecraft was traveling at 6 light years per turn. When we took the Scythian city of Hamar, we thought we had finished them off, but we had forgotten about Tolstaya. Shortly after, we took the Macedonian city of Methany. Then we took Aigai. The map was now heavily tilted in our favor. We also took the Phoenician city of
Hawk Tuah.
Yet another meteor shower. What is up with this game? In 1927, with only 3 turns left before my exoplanet expedition was scheduled to arrive at its destination, we took Tolstaya and eliminated the Scythians from the game. That same year, we took the Macedonian city of Dion. And then right after, we took Ayutthaya. Why not take Jerusalem too? A few hits is all it took. Right before the end of the game, the former Phoenician city of Malacca, that we just didn't have the time or patience to take by force, said that they wanted in on the win and joined up with us. We don't say no to free cities. Right after, we marched into Utica and eliminated the Phoenicians from the game. Only Macedon and Norway remained. Macedon was teetering on the brink of extinction, and only Norway continued to hold its capital and onto a civilization worth remembering. But we hit the Norwegian mainland by taking the city of Barkøy. Soon after, we took Alexandretta. We also took Tonsberg. On the final turn, we took the Norwegian city of Bergen. We founded the city of Cucuta. Amazingly, it was the first time in the game that we had settled near a volcano. We took Alexandria in Aria, then we took Karmoy. But that was all. In 1930, on turn 351, the tiny module we shot through space reached its destination and sent back a signal. The world declared us victorious. So, what did I learn? Narrow paths through the mountains in this game created key choke points. Some worked out to our advantage as we took Paris early in the game. Others became frustratingly difficult to push through. Our forces were camped between Brussels and the Phoenician city of Ziz for centuries, and barbarians along the eastern shore of our continent persisted until the atomic era. Having a friend like China to bail me out of countless economic problems was huge. Sorry I turned on you, China. Sorry, not sorry. Fighter jets are the ultimate defense against early GDRs before the drone air defense is researched. A single Mapuche strike on my robot did 94 damage and took him out, wasting my investment. Mapuche do get a combat bonus against civilizations in a golden age, but still, that's mad damage. Kublai Khan's extra economic policy slot is nice, especially at the start of the game. It helps you feel like you can hang in every game, no matter how you start, and our position here was fine, but not great. Typically, after researching Code of Laws, players are forced to choose between God King and urban planning, a choice between generating faith and extra gold or extra production. Phrased another way, go for an early pantheon or build units and infrastructure quicker. When you only have one city, God King makes the most sense. If you have two or more cities and already have a pantheon, then urban planning might be preferable. Most players will have their early strategy, but you are still forced to choose one, and that choice is huge. With Kublai Khan, there is no choice, and it's comforting. You can build while passively generating faith and gold. But though its flexibility is nice, it does not offer a clear path to victory and doesn't streamline with some of the Mongol bonuses. Great for the early game and truly felt, less so as you keep playing. Overall, the game was a grind, and it felt like I limped to victory, which made it feel less triumphant. Such is the fate of space race victories, as you more or less wait out the last few turns, even though you know victory will be yours. The further toward the end of the tech tree that you find off-world mission, the longer your game feels. 351 turns is a long game. I finished the tech and civic trees long before I won the game and researched more future techs and civics than I can count. Poor planning, maybe, but it's still a victory. Another tad to the list. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to keep playing and making your own civilization stories, your own amazing paths through history, and I'll see you next time.